All right, today we are breaking down a live stream from Dr. Dan Purser that makes some really big claims about natural progesterone. So what we're going to do is walk through his top 10 points exactly as he laid them out so you can hear the case he's making. And he kicks things off with this whopper of a quote. He's not just calling progesterone a hormone, he's framing it as maybe the most powerful immune-boosting, anti-cancer tool you can get your hands on. That one sentence, it really sets the tone for everything else he's about to say. So, just a quick heads up on how we're doing this. Think of us as your guide. We're not here to prove or disprove anything. We're simply breaking down the claims exactly as they were made in the live stream. We're just following his lead here.
Okay, let's dive into the main event, Dr. Purser's top 10 list of what he says progesterone can do for you. We're going to go through them one by one, starting with something a lot of people struggle with. First up, claim number 1, it helps you sleep. Now, the argument he makes is that natural progesterone, and he really emphasizes the word natural, has this calming effect that seriously improves your sleep quality. He makes it clear this is totally different from the synthetic versions. Next up, something that is a massive issue for so many people, hot flashes. The source makes a super specific claim here. He says progesterone can stop 95% of them, flat out. And that other 5%? Well, according to him, that's probably because you're low on other hormones, maybe testosterone or DHEA. All right, coming in at number 3, it shuts down PMS. The idea here is that progesterone helps to, and this is a direct quote from him, mellow out all those mood swings, that irritability, and the tension that can make life miserable before a cycle. Now, here's one that might catch you off guard. He claims it can help with TMJ, that awful jaw pain. The source draws a direct line between this pain and the big hormonal shifts that happen right before a period. At number 5, we're talking about endometriosis. Dr. Purser presents natural progesterone as a really powerful treatment, basically positioning it as a direct alternative to what he calls the more standard medical options. Claim number 6 is all about bone health, and the way he explains it is actually pretty simple. He says to think of progesterone as a key that helps force essential minerals into your bones, which actively works against osteoporosis. Okay, so this one's interesting, especially how he says it works. It's not just about feeling a little better. The argument is that progesterone has a direct biochemical effect. It actually increases serotonin levels in your brain. Number 8 is a big one for a lot of people. Hair. The claim is pretty straightforward. If you keep your progesterone levels where they should be, it directly contributes to thicker, fuller hair. All right, get ready, because this is where we get into the 2 biggest, most dramatic statistical claims from the source. Both of them, he says, are based on a 1981 review from the American College of Epidemiology. The first one is all about breast cancer risk. And there's the number. He claims a 500% decreased risk of breast cancer. Let me just repeat that because it's a huge number. That's a 5-fold reduction in risk, and he says this is specifically for women who keep their progesterone levels above 10 nanograms per milliliter. And for the final claim, the big number 10, he zooms out, way out. Citing that exact same 1981 review, the argument goes from just breast cancer to the risk of getting any cancer at all. Which brings us to this absolutely staggering figure. The source claims a 1,000% decrease. That's a 10-fold reduction in the risk of all cancers combined. And again, this is all based on the condition that progesterone levels are kept up. So you'd think that's the end of it, right? But the top 10 list wasn't all. Dr. Purser also threw in a few bonus benefits, claims that weren't on the main list, but he said were just as important. So these bonus claims included getting rid of most female anxiety and, get this, actively reducing the risk of blood clots, which he points out is the opposite of synthetic hormones. And finally, that it causes something called apoptosis, which is basically programmed cell death in potentially harmful breast tissue. Okay, so if it does all this stuff, the next logical question is, how do you take it? This next part breaks down the different ways to use it that were talked about in the live stream, and, well, let's just say Dr. Purser has a clear ranking of what he thinks works best. So he lays out a pretty clear pecking order. Down at the bottom are creams. He says they just lose their potency way too fast. Serums are a better option, and he mentioned them for anxiety. Injectables, yep, they're effective, but he notes they're usually only used during pregnancy. Capsules are good, and he says they're the absolute best for sleep. That right at the very top of his list are these rapid dissolve troches, or RDTs, which he literally calls the highest art of delivery.
Now, the original live stream ended with a Q&A session, which was super helpful. So we pulled a couple of the key questions that add a real practical layer to all these claims. First off, a really basic and important safety question. How can you tell if you're taking too much? And what's interesting is that the answer he gave wasn't about some lab number. It was a much more informal, real-world sign.
And there it is. His memorable advice is that if you find yourself sleeping for like 12 or 13 hours and you're waking up in the late morning, well, you're probably on too much. It goes right back to that very first claim he made about sleep. Another really key question was about women who've had a hysterectomy, and the source argues really strongly that yes, they still need progesterone. The logic is that being without ovaries, whether it's from surgery or from menopause, creates the exact same hormonal problem.
So there you have it. We've gone through 10 major claims, a few bonus ones, and some practical Q&A, all pulled directly from the source material. These are some powerful and frankly sometimes startling ideas about what a single hormone can do. So we'll just leave you with this to think about. After hearing all of that, what new questions does it make you ask about the role of hormones in our health?